Hello guys, this is Jacob Hiller. I'm here in Rwanda and working with some athletes out here, and been thinking about a lot of things, especially since we came back from India, and the Indians are a very quad dominated people. They're also very, the lifters that we work with there were extremely strong. They're very quad dominated, and since there's always a buzz on the internet about whether jumping is a glute activity, a posterior chain activity, or a quad anterior chain activity, that type of thing. And what I've always said is that both the glutes and the hamstrings, quads, and glutes are both, three of the top prime movers in the vertical jump. And I just want to kind of demonstrate to you how you can see that, because people jump in different ways. People squat in different ways. If you looked at the squats that a lot of people do, you'll notice, especially here in India, and if they're wearing lifting shoes or anything like that, you'll notice it's a very quad dominated squat. Let me demonstrate real quick. If the squat, when they squat down, it looks like this. Notice how my knees are bending a little bit over my toes. So if it looks like that when they squat, and a lot of times your heels will come up, so they'll use lifting shoes that have higher heels on them so they can actually activate the quads a little more. So if it's looking like that, that's going to be a very quad dominated squat. You're going to feel it in your quads, especially if you keep your core upright. Now if you see lifters that go down like this, that is going to be a much more posterior chain dominant movement, and you'll see a lot more of the power lifters doing that. Now if you look at the jump, it's going to be a lot of the same stuff. So if you see jumpers, one thing I use a little tool called MySpeed to slow down and watch NBA dunkers or professional dunkers, kind of watch where their power is coming from. And if you see them take off like this, their body upright, and they're like that, the only way they can derive power here is by closing the gap from the knees. So if their knees have to extend like this in order to drive their power upwards. So when you see a jumper take off like that, they're driving a lot of their power from their quads, which isn't necessarily bad as long as they're capable of that kind of explosion. But you also see that heavily quad dominated jumpers also a little more prone to knee problems unless they have great stability, great quad strength, and great landing and takeoff technique with a lot of stability. So you also see jumpers that take off a little more like this. So the quads are going to have to be close, and there's also going to be a little more tilt in the hips. So they're deriving power from closing the gap on the knees and from extending at the hips at the same time. So they're closing at the knees and extending the hips at the same time. That's the way. Jumping like this is going to use your posterior chain. It's going to use your glutes. It's also going to use your hamstrings. It's also going to use your quads. So, in many ways, you're going to gain inches by increasing strength in your quads and by increasing your strength in your glutes and hams, as well as your core stability, your shoulders, and your calves. But I think it's fair to say that quads, hams, glutes are the three prime movers, and no individual athlete is probably going to be using the same percentage of that. You'll see athletes using more quads, you'll see athletes using more glutes, and you'll see athletes who use a balanced percentage of both. So for those of you who are only training, you'll even see athletes and trainers out there who say the vertical jump is completely derived from the glutes. If you look at the glutes, their primary function is extending the hip. So for example, if you're sprinting, your glutes here are taking your leg from this point to this point. So really that's driving you horizontally, it's driving you forward, okay? That's what that movement does. Now your quads, what they do is see right now we're minimizing our hip extension, we're minimizing our glute activation, which you'll notice that when we contract our quads and extend our knees, we're closing the gap a little more vertically. But when you use your glutes and quads together in this way, and your body is coiled somewhat like a spring, when you contract your quads and extend your knees, and extend at your hips, your body's like a spring bouncing upwards. So if you have imbalances, meaning you're driving a lot of power through your glutes, but you're not able to properly support or even augment that power through your quads, it's going to affect your jump. And we know the word synergy is sometimes overused, but if you're able to not only balance that strength with your quads, but also kind of play off of it and augment it through your quads, you're just going to be driving more power into the ground and driving your body upward through the air. So really the lesson here is quads are important. Quads are an important part of vertical jumping. Glutes are important. I mean, glutes are at the center of your gravity. They're at the muscles at the very core center of your gravity. And that's a very important part of your body because that's where you derive gravity. That's where really a lot of athletic movements are going to be derived. So if you're an athlete, a lot of people try and say which one's weakest, and then focus on that one. Well, I say focus on both of them and get them both to augment your power. I mean, most of you, almost all of you, I don't really know any athletes who really need to be at the point where they say, my quads are much stronger than my glutes are much stronger than my quads, whatever, and that they need to actually be, focusing a lot more on one than the other. Almost all of you listening to this need stronger, more explosive quads, need stronger, more explosive glutes and hams, and really the whole shebang. So really, if you want to take a comprehensive approach, there's even more than quads, glutes, and hams, of course. But this little aside, this little talk was about how knee extension initiated by the quads, hip extension initiated by the glutes and hamstrings are going to play a major role in the upward propulsion you're able to develop. So I hope this clarifies that for some of you guys. I know there are those out there who might disagree or who might agree, and I'd love to hear from you as well. I mean, I'm always welcome to adjusting my paradigm on this. I feel it works well. I feel that we've gotten a lot of results with athletes, and that's why I stick with it. But I'm definitely welcome to your feedback, and sorry if I get a little windy, and hope to give you more. I have been able to work with some national team coaches here, some national team players, and some absolute beasts out here in Rwanda. These guys, we did a reach test, and I'm 6'3", 6'4" on a good day, depending on the shoes. But so I was one of the taller guys. We did a reach test, at the beginning of our assessments, and I was third last in my reach with almost an 8-foot reach with shoes on. We had several guys reaching over 9 feet, and some of these guys are just monsters. The top guy is just, the rim out there is 10'6" because they keep ripping it off. But anyways, the top jumper out there is just, he's just an all-out athlete, and when we get done with him, he's just going to be an absolute monster. But the guy's like cranking out amazing dunks on a 10'6" goal, and he's only 6'4" guy. Anyway, I'm going to see if I can go out there and get some pictures and see if they'll let me post them. So anyways, I will talk to you guys soon. Look forward to your comments. Bye-bye.